Hi everyone, this is a short little session for CETL about tools that I have found are helpful in talking with my students and keeping in touch with them. So I am Lynn Rumfelt and I am a professor of biology in the Department of Natural Sciences in the School of Nursing, Health and Natural Sciences. Alright, so the purpose of course is to communicate, but why? If I don't start talking to my students on a regular basis, then they don't do very well about keeping on task, about staying engaged, seeing that I'm actually interested in how they're doing. That social interaction is really important for them. And then, of course, giving them guidance along the way. Some of the more outspoken ones will reach out and ask questions by email, but there's other ones that are more shy or less able to be on top of things. So those are the ones that I'm kind of aiming to really interact with the most. Okay, so one of the main tools that I use is the D2L course announcements. That is the first thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk about it here on the screen, but I'm going to show you pictures of what I do on the next several screens. So once the student, of course, logs into their course, the first thing they're going to see is not just the banner and the calendar, they're going to see announcements. So that's a great place to kind of in their face have something that you want to remind them about, or that's coming up, or that is due, or just to be silly or funny or cute. This is a great place for that. So I also link announcements in the announcements page. I link content. I link assessments such as an exam. I link videos because sometimes videos are funny or they're pertinent to what's going on. And also, like this little teaching video here, I'll do the same thing for the modules. So as we come up on modules, and modules are essentially chapters, as we come up on modules, kind of the kernel of what's that material is, I give them a short video so that they can use that to kind of give the big picture of it. I've also learned a little bit about Voki, so I know that Autumn has talked to us about Voki before. I've never used it, so I got that little hint or trick from Dean Velchez. That was really kind of cool. So Voki just allows you to use a cartoon character, either your voice or a cartoon voice, a different kind of a voice. You can have different accents. You can have, you can be male or female, whatever you floats your boat that day. And you can have different kinds of these characters. They allow this free usage of up to 3 different characters that you can save. So that's also good. VoiceThread I'm still working on, but that's another place that you can do some audio if you like, or audio and visual about content. And then, of course, Screencast-O-Matic. I know that Dr. Clement gave you his CETL session on how to use it. It's limited to 15 minutes, so you got to get in and get out and be to the point, but it is helpful. And what I like about Screencast-O-Matic versus TechSmith Relay is that they don't need to log in, they don't need to sign up. I know that you cannot do an analytics on it, like who's viewed it and stuff, but what I like is they can just start using it right away. So for me, that was more important. And as I said, you can use announcements to be social with the students. So I put postings about Happy Juneteenth and the Happy Solstice Day, Summer Solstice Day. And then also I put notices about clarifications because I start getting a couple of questions and I go, well, if these students don't understand what's going on, then I'm going to need to show that I'm going to need to talk about it to the rest of the class. So here is the beginning. So here's the announcements page and of course announcements, and of course you can make new announcements. This way you can edit your current announcements that you have. And so this one I wanted to give them an extension. I also wanted to clarify where they can get these materials from and questions that had come up, what are we doing this for? And so that helps. And of course you also have your calendar here, which is very important to help keep them on task. But I actually kind of double reminding them or triple remind me. They have the calendar item, they'll have the item in the announcements, and then you'll see that I'll also be sending them an email. So here is a reminder. This is actually at the announcements page. So how do we make the announcements? So I just copy and paste stuff out of my syllabus, and then I'll put links in it. So this is definitely a link right here that links to the content areas. So this is how they do their learning outcomes, and then their study plan, and then a link to the quiz because that's a little assessment, and then their lab. And then I wanted to show you this screen particularly for availability, because you can start it at a certain time, you can end it at a certain time, whatever you want, or you can do that manually, whatever makes you happy. You can also add in attachments and other things that you would like. Here is an example of what I was talking about an overview. So I've made a little screencast-o-matic in the announcements. I've added in the learning outcomes, and I've just given them some written and what the requirements are, and then for that week, and then also a little video about the material, kind of talking about similar things but a little bit more in depth. And this is going to be just a short video, not 15 minutes, more like a 3-minute or a 2-minute. As announcements come along that are pertinent or relative to these students, the student group, then I will post them here as well. I'll take this down as we get closer to the conference. This is a free conference for the students, so if anybody's actually interested in this, I make that available to them as well. I've also posted things about the COVID-19. That's on the very, very beginning of D2L, the very home page of D2L. I've actually copied that COVID-19 with all the mascots, that little video, into the announcements page so that the students can at least see it once, because maybe they'll just, skip it. All right, here is the Voki. So I decided to be a robot that day. I don't know why. And then there's a tiny URL. They just listened to it, and then it was just a little reminder about work that was due. And it's just a cute little way. And they actually do listen to this. And I did send this also through email. So, it's a way to connect with them, even if it might seem silly. And I do think it seems silly. But, that's great. Any way that I can connect makes me happy. Here's my announcement for Juneteenth. And I just copied the Google thingy, the doodle. And then it's kind of got a song here. So just to let them know that I'm in support of that. And as I showed you in the beginning screen, this is kind of more in depth. So this is the things that I wanted them to know for Lab 6 and where they can get them and kind of what they need to do. And this came up really early. So here's one of my instructional little videos. I actually had to tell them how to find the bookstore, because I know you think that they know how to do this, but not everybody does. Especially if you've got dual enrollment, and then how to order this, because I'm using this software called Lumen Waymaker, which is associated with the OER version of the textbook, and they did not know how to order it, and they did not know if they had if they were dual enrolled, they didn't know how to actually charge it, because they thought maybe they'd have to pay and then get reimbursed. So I had to learn that, and then I posted that. Here's information in here that I've written, and I've also discussed it in this short little video, so a 3-minute little video. And that did help the students, because I had several dual enrolled students, and they just had to clarify how, what they had to pay for. All right. The second tool that I use is going to be the email. And I use the email as another way to get to them from announcements. There's other tools you can use, like Remind, if you want to collect all their phone numbers and send them out little texts. You can do things like that. I haven't gone that far yet because to me that seemed a little bit labor intensive, but maybe I will, because the more that we can interact with the students, the better it is for them. That shows that I'm not just, I don't know, everybody thinks if you teach online that you're just getting your nails done all day long and not, eating grapes and lying around. I don't know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because you're working, and I like that, because in a way you can kind of get to know them a little bit better because you're working them on a more individual basis. At least that's how I'm approaching it right now. You can get them to work in groups, but it is definitely more interactive one-on-one versus 1 and 30. So I think in many ways the students can get to know you better, and you can support them better that way. So not to assume that they're going to look at announcements. Maybe they're not on D2L when I send out an email, but not to do double work. So whatever I'm putting in the announcements, I put in the email. So I only have to write it one time. And then that also helps me to make sure that everybody has been communicated with. I've sent an email and then you're going to go, well, how, you'll have to write an email each time you have to load up their email addresses. So I'm going to give you a little short presentation on how to make the contact list. It used to be groups, and that is different. So here I've got just kind of, this is the number of students in the class, and I didn't want to show any privileged information. But if you go to Banner Web and you go to Class Summary, you will find something called Display Email List. And that will, if you click on that, it gives you, it opens up a box which lists all of the email address and all the names of the students who are currently in the class, whether they enrolled and withdrew or whether they just are still enrolled. So it's kind of everybody. And of course you don't want to send an email out to somebody who has withdrawn, so you'll have to remove those from the list when you start making your new contact. And then now this, I'm teaching you this. If you want to skip it, that's fine. But I'm teaching you this because we used to be able to make groups in Outlook, and now you have to make a new contact. You have to make a contact list, and then you name it, and then you add in all of the names individually. It's a little bit labor intensive, but once you're done, then you're good to go. So here is how you make your list. You look for people, the little people icon. You go to new contact, and if you just hit that downward arrow, you have either a new contact or new contact list. So you select new contact list, and then you name it, and then you start in adding in names one by one. That is I tried just copying and pasting all the Banner Web email addresses, and that was a fantastic failure, so I ended up having to do it individually. But once you do that, then you hit create, and you're good to go. As if you do it early in the semester and then a student withdraws, then you just go back to the contact list and edit it, and then you could remove. So here's a little X that allows that student to be removed. And here I just add in two, and then I search for what I want, and there it is. Boom, I select it, and you're good to go. And so when they send the email, now the reason why I blanked this out here is because it doesn't show as Biology 1107. It starts listing all the names of the students, and because of private information, I didn't want to show that. But here's an example of things that I've posted already in announcements, but here I am posting it again as an email, and the same thing for a Voki reminder. So frequent contact with the students is super important and needed. It also helps you to be a little social. So some way to kind of contact them on a very frequent basis, maybe every day, maybe every other day, I think is really good, because then it goes, well, the student, she's not on holiday. She's paying attention here. Also, replying to the emails in a really rapid way. I don't mean like immediately, but I do mean in a timely manner. So, within an hour or so when you get the email, as long as you can, as long as you're able to, you should, because it shows that you're paying attention to them, and that helps build their confidence. The more we can interact with them, the better it is for them. They'll have questions, and if you can answer them, then that helps build them up. So that's what we need to be doing. And I think that is it. If you have any questions, please send me an email, or if you'd like, you can send the email to Professor Higgins, and she will, the CETL director, and she'll make sure that I get the question. And thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.